Hello, Clement. How are you?
Very good. Yourself?
Good, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you for joining me today in this session, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thanks.
Good. So, can you tell me where are you from?
I'm French.
Oh, okay. And how many languages do you speak?
Overall, just three. So French, of course, English with you, and Spanish.
Did you practice any of Spanish in your life?
Yeah, I used to work in Spain, so
Oh, interesting.
that's just the moment I can say I spoke Spanish. Before that, it was just a scholar one.
Oh, nice. And when did you start speaking English?
English, so like every French person, you start at primary school, but you don't really speak. But then it was during a school exchange when I was 15 years old. So I went to Sheffield for 10 days, sorry. And that's the moment that literally we had to speak together and socialize.
Nice. When do you start learning English in France? Because you started, you said like at the age of 15, it was your first experience, right?
Yes, but it's true. I would say in France you start to learn it when you're 3 or 4 by like vocabulary classes or very simplified stuff. But technically you can spend your whole time at school without actually practicing and speaking with an English-born person, for example.
Yes, because like generally French people, they don't seem to have their English as a second language. It seems that like most of French people, Spanish is like their second, let's say. Most of French people, they speak Spanish, but usually I don't find French people fond of English language, let's say.
Definitely, for many reasons. It's really not included in our day-to-day. In France, we don't have English TV. We don't especially watch movies in original version. It's not super common. We don't watch the news in English at all. No, there are many things that we really don't want, and we try to translate basically everything that is in our day-to-day life. So yes, of course, English seems to be super distant, and Spanish, however, as it is Latin, many people really don't speak a good Spanish in France. Let's not lie, but you can try to find your way around adding some A and O at the end of the words, but that's not really speaking Spanish either.
Yes. Alright, tell me about your first experience when you went out and talked to people in English.
As I say, it was in Sheffield, so I was super excited by the fact to speak with people and to socialize. However, it was really frustrating because I always felt like at the end of the sentence a word was missing, some vocabulary. And what was also very frustrating is that I couldn't joke in English. When in French it could be almost a way to bond with people, there it felt like I was not funny.
Yes.
And it's really hard to take. You feel like you're not another person in this other language. Yes,
true, yeah. I have my friends telling me like, those friends who, let's say, not very interested in English, they would say like, Asa, you laugh and you joke in English. How can you do that?
Yeah.
For them, like it's a bit weird, but yeah, I can understand your point. All right, and how do you see your French accent when you speak English? Do you see that this is being noticed when you talk to people, or I mean, like you master the English accent that there is no difference?
No, I think it is noticed. I try to decrease it to the maximum. I'm not one of those that try to emphasize the French accent. However, I kind of have it, and it's super hard to erase. It is noticed. In so many words, people don't understand the way I pronounce it. It's a bit humbling, I would say, because you realize that even though you've been speaking English for a long time, you still have to make an effort on this accent. Well, no, people are not too mean with me. Like, they don't tell me I really don't get your stuff. But it's pretty tough.
Do you sometimes like include some French words when you speak English? Is it like something that you try to avoid, or like it's like the word that just came out, so I don't need to correct it? Let it be.
No, I do, but I do try to keep the French words in the English language. You know, the apropos, the maneuver, like all these really close to French language. I really make zero effort, so that's maybe my bad side, I would say. But otherwise, no, let's be as English as possible, right?
Nice. Can you tell me, or do you remember a word that you pronounced or mispronounced in English that was like influenced by the French accent that the person in front of you didn't understand?
It was the law, legal, the law.
Okay.
We used to say the law.
Okay.
No meaning was going through. Like the conversation was just not getting anywhere.
Yeah. All right. I see. And did you ever had an awkward moment or like a time where you like did a mistake in English and you felt like you're not comfortable talking in English, or I mean like you are confident, I mean like you speak English even if it's not your first language?
No, globally I would say I built up some confidence in speaking English, but for example, one of the first conversations I had with my school exchange when I was in Sheffield, and I really remember it well, in French to say shout, we say crier.
Okay.
I didn't know the word in English, I thought it would be cry.
Okay.
Didn't mean at all the same. It was a bit embarrassing, he didn't say anything, but I was just speaking for myself there. Okay. So that was a bit embarrassing, but since then I tried to minimize it.
Nice, nice. Okay, and the last question is going to be, how do you find yourself, or how do you feel when you work in an environment where everyone speaks English? Do you sometimes find it difficult, or you are easily like, getting along with people who speak English? Do you sometimes find it difficult to understand the different accents, because in your workplace there are different nationalities, but the common language is English? True that we have different accents and different like nationalities, but still the common language is English.
True. No, it's more comfortable when everybody's speaking English, but not being born English speaker. That's really comfortable because we are all pretty tolerant with the mistakes we make, or the bad accents we have, etc. So it's a really nice environment. On the other hand, when I used to work with people that were English speaking born and like they were a bit less tolerant, of course that was more difficult to speak openly in a meeting, for example. Here it feels quite comfortable.
Nice. Alright, the last thing, do you have any tips for people who just started learning English and it's not their first language or even their second language? What is, like, if you can summarize in just one advice that can help them learn English and not be afraid to speak in English?
You have to put yourself in a place where you need to speak English to socialize. So, I don't know, it's going somewhere, it's going to a restaurant where there are only English speakers, or these kind of international evenings. That's the best moment, because you will be really annoyed to not be able to bond with the people. So this annoyment will take over the fear and you will start to blah blah a bit. And I think that's the best way to start the machine and to kick it off.
Were you ever afraid to make mistakes when speaking English?
No, honestly no. I make mistakes all the time, even in French or in Spanish, but as long as people understand me, like, you get through it.
Nice. Alright, that's all for our session today. Thank you so much, Clément, for joining. And just like one thing, we know that your name is pronounced Clément in English, but how do you pronounce it in French?
Clément.
Alright, so now we can understand the difference about pronunciation between French and English. Alright, thank you so much.
Thanks, Aza.
Thank you.